So step one is all about auditing your reports. Now, we don't have one credit report. Credit scoring isn't that important. A lot of it is used to confuse people and make money. And we'll go through this and clarify this in the presentation. Step two is about fixing errors and removing negative markers. So a lot of people don't know, but you can remove a negative marker early. But of course, there are rules as to how this works. Once you've fixed errors and removed negative markers, the next step is actually achieving excellent credit. Excellent credit isn't excellent credit scores only, it's actually having excellent credit reports. Step four is then going for multiple credit accounts, and that's accessing a lot of the bank's money, and then ideally using it to make money. And step five is to go for more and more and more and more. And again, going for more is useful because even if you don't participate in the money game, even though you are, whether you say you're not, or whether you say you are not, other people are printing money, other people are getting loans, other people are getting mortgages, and that affects you in that, again, the more money in the economy, the lower the value of the money that you make and the money that you keep in your bank account. So this 5-step framework is going to be very important. Hopefully you're taking notes. You can take screenshots as well. You can ask questions. Any question that you have, you can post in the Zoom chat and we'll get to it in the end. And I always share my story very quickly because, before, when I was, working in the office in an accounting firm, I knew nothing about credit. Credit is something you don't get taught. If you are confused as to how credit works, I wouldn't be surprised because I was confused even though I did a 4-year accounting and finance degree. So I had a late payment, didn't really think it was important. I just left it. I think I got a text message. I ignored it. Years later, when I understood about credit a bit more, I was like, this negative marker is on my credit report. So I thankfully got it removed. And this is the email that literally changed the whole game. So this is Experian letting me know that an old late payment had come off. And ever since, I've been able to access over 100K, open multiple accounts, and then use this for financial leverage. But again, when I was still, again, in accounting, when I was still in a tax environment, I didn't learn any of this. So again, if you're confused, if you don't know what to do, you're not alone. I was confused, and it's very hard to find good, correct information, unfortunately. And here are just some of the cards I've been able to open. This is an old screenshot, but again, what I always say, the keys are removing negative markers. That's very important. Number two is actually having excellent credit. And then after that, virtually any card becomes available. Any loan you want is available. Any mortgage is available, given you meet other conditions. But it's not difficult. For a lot of people, for most people, the main big stumbling block will be negative markers. But we'll go through how to remove it in today's course. So again, we're going to keep referring to this, the 5-step framework. We're going to go through step 1 first and then go all the way to step 5 and make sure that I'm as clear as possible in breaking down how this works. Before I start, I have to quickly always share this story. Credit is difficult in that it is confusing. There is a lot of misinformation out there. You will be surprised that even the biggest companies are confused as to how credit actually works. And it's intentional. Now, I was speaking to a credit underwriter on Facebook. This is when I was still studying a lot more about credit, how to understand that, how all these things work. And I was asking her, why is this credit thing so difficult? Why is it so hard to just find information? Why is it that when you call a bank and you ask them, for example, you could call a bank and ask them, my account's been closed down. Can you tell me why and what to do? Some banks will just tell you, I'm sorry, we can't disclose the information. There's nothing that we can do. And they'll just leave you for dead. And for me, it's quite annoying that across the board, you can call different banks, you can call different companies. Either you'll be misinformed or you're not given enough information to know exactly what to do. So that's why, I do what I do. That's why I post every single day. That's why I host these live sessions to show people that, yes, it is confusing. Yes, a lot of things are hidden, but we are trying our best to find the information and help people that are stuck. So the argument that they have is that if you educate people very well on credit, there will be a lot of toxic debt. So for example, someone could easily then, remove negative markers access £100,000 and then not pay it back if they knew how to leverage all these stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's true, there is a risk, but the other risk is that if someone, again, gets like a fraud marker, like a CIFAS marker, or they get multiple CCJs, and then they Google what to do, they're just going to be misinformed or misguided or think that they have to now wait 6 years before they can now, move on with their life. And I don't like the other downside of what not having this information can do. So that's why I teach about these things. And I always share this conversation that I had, which really opened my mind as to why it can be confusing. So this being the case, it does mean that you probably have misinformation that you've absorbed from social media, from the internet, from whoever you've listened to about credit. Some of it is unintentional, some of it is intentional, but it does mean that we have to go through the painful work of undoing the lies that have been sold and understanding how things actually work and what is the truth. So for example, when I'm talking about removing negative markers, it sounds crazy, but it can be done. And I will show you guys a lot of proof and results from people that we've helped. So step 1, checking all credit reports. So even this information, again, I didn't know this when I was in accounting and finance, but this is critically important and this is foundational in your credit building journey. We all have 3 different independent credit reports. What that means is we have a credit report with Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. They're all independent, they're not the same, and they don't talk to each other. This means that you can have an excellent Experian report with no errors, no issues, no problems, but you can have a terrible Equifax report. And this is because, again, they're not related and they don't talk to each other. This being the case also means that we are responsible for ensuring that the information that they have is correct. If your name is wrong with TransUnion, TransUnion will not call you and ask you to verify how to spell your surname. It will just be incorrect on your credit report, and this could actually lead to you then getting, for example, a CIFAS marker if you now apply for credit with, inconsistent information. So step 1 is very important. A lot of people will maybe hear this and not follow through, but it's the most important thing. Downloading your credit reports and checking every single page to ensure that there are no errors, no typos whatsoever. This cannot be ignored. And as credit reports are king, credit scores are therefore not that important. And a lot of credit scoring that you see from Experian, Equifax, TransUnion is simply used just to make money. If you prioritize your credit score over your credit report, you're doing it the wrong way. The most important thing is your credit report, then it's your credit score. But if you've got a clean credit report, your credit score doesn't matter. So if you're getting emails from Experian telling you, oh, you've got a 900 score, these are the cards you can open, but you haven't checked your report, and if your surname is spelled wrong, your address is incorrect, then this is a major issue. You have to check your credit reports first. You have to monitor your credit reports and prioritize those, and then worry about a credit score. So if you move address, if you get married, if you open a new account, check your credit report. Prioritize your credit report, and this is the most important step in the 5-step framework. Very important. Once you've done that, you can then move on to step 2. And again, everything's linked and related. There's no, confusion or anything weird going on. It's like step 1, then step 2. Step 2 is then if there's any errors, you contact the particular lender or the credit reference agency. And then if you have a negative marker, we need to work on pushing for removal, given there's room to, get off early. Now, why are negative markers a problem? When it comes to applying for credit, it's important to know that banks and lenders, they check your credit report and they judge you based on the information that they can see on your credit report. Now, this is very important to understand and to really, conceptualize. A negative marker like a late payment, a CCJ, it doesn't represent you as someone that a bank or lender would want to give money to. And I always say, even if you know that whenever you borrow money, you always pay it back. Even if you know that you are trustworthy, that you are reliable, that you are loyal, if your credit report says otherwise, if it has a CCJ, then banks and lenders are thinking this person, amongst 10 million people that we, serve, we can't trust them. And that's why it's more difficult to be approved for credit when you have these negative markers. And again, credit includes current accounts, credit cards, loans, mortgages, business finance. So having a negative marker is not ideal because it doesn't represent you as a person that a bank or lender wants to borrow money. And the more negative markers you have, the higher risk you are seen in a bank or lender's eyes. And remember, they don't know you. A bank lender doesn't really care about you, to be honest. They're just reading information on the paper and they're judging you based on what they can see. If you've got, errors in your report, CCJ, because you've moved and you didn't get the letters, it just doesn't look good. So where we can get it removed, this is what we focus on. It's very important. And again, you can have a 999 credit score, but typos in your credit report. And I would say that you therefore have poor credit, because credit is not primarily about having a good score with the credit companies, the three of them. It's all about having good credit reports. Credit reports are king. I hope that's very clear. And what I always do is share the results and testimonies of those people that we've helped remove a negative marker early. As you can see, Miracle Hair removed 3 CIFAS markers. It was her and her husband that had issues. We showed them how to create perfect scripts, and she was over the moon as to what we helped her do. So amazing result. Bernard got a default off. This individual got two missed payments off. An account's been unblocked from one of our school members. This person got 2 fraud markers removed, another CFAS marker off. Multiple defaults off. I think here was 6 defaults. This was a CFAS marker. Can't really see clearly. Yep, CFAS marker. An account unblocked again. So yeah, we've helped a lot of people. We have a lot of receipts. We've been through this so many times. And I always say, it's funny because I post about this and people even say that this is not true or it can't work. But when I'm showing you that I've helped other people, I've done it myself, it's undeniable. But again, there is misinformation. It is confusing. So it does come across as like, this is not possible. But I kid you not, if you follow the steps, follow the frameworks, if you're coachable, then we can help you and show you how to actually fix your credit. So yeah, we've had a lot of results. People that haven't even joined our community. So this is on TikTok. We've helped a lot of people find success. So again, no matter where you are in this framework, we show you what to do. So if you've got negative markers, ideally, let's get it removed. If you've got errors, let's get those fixed. And it helps you to better go into step 3. So again, here are all the receipts and testimonies that we've received. So I always say the 3 keys to success, keeping it simple, is 1, being coachable. So if we show you that this is the way to do things, and it's not only hearing us, but it's also hearing us and trying to almost go against what you thought was true. Because again, there's a lot of misinformation out there. It's quite difficult to know what to do. That's why we have a community and we host live trainings and we try to walk you through the whole process, because we know that it's intentionally difficult for you to understand how credit really works. So being coachable is key. Having a clear framework to follow is key, and using the right language is key. Now, when I say framework, I'm talking about a step-by-step guide. And again, we always talk in frameworks. We always talk in steps to make it very easy to follow and understand. And the last one is language. Language is very important. I always say, when it comes to trying to remove a negative marker or fix your credit or just get an account unblocked, whatever it is, if you're talking to a bank or lender and they, let's say, for example, they only speak Spanish and only understand Spanish, if you're speaking English, no matter how well your English is, they will never hear what you're saying. They will never see what you're saying. And particularly with negative markers, you want a bank or lender, particularly the customer agent, the person you're speaking to, you want them to see vividly exactly what you're saying and understand why a marker needs to be removed. Even if you speak perfect English, but they only understand Spanish, you're losing the game. You want to communicate in a way that they understand, which is why we talk about language all the time. And we always talk about using perfected scripts. Using scripts makes it easier to remove negative markers. So here are the 3 keys. We talk about it over and over and over again within our trainings and our coaching sessions. So thankfully, we have AI now. AI has made it so much easier to remove negative markers and to process loads of documents. So when using AI to fix your credit, there are golden rules. You don't want to loosely use AI. That will potentially get you into trouble or just get you frustrated. You want to learn how to correctly prompt AI, and this is what we teach and go through over and over and over again. AI helps you with speed. So rather than you having to read all the FCA handbook documents or read all the Fraud Act documents, you can just give it to AI and save yourself so much time and even avoid having to pay, let's say like a lawyer, £5,000 for a CCJ or, £20,000 to get company CVA removed. Like, you can save a lot of money if you know how to correctly prompt AI, but then you have to learn how to use AI. And this is what we walk through as well in our trainings. And then the last step in using AI correctly, the last golden rule is having an expert verify what you've been given. Now, AI is absolutely amazing, but it's not perfect. It can still make mistakes and it can still hallucinate. And what I've found, and we're going to go through a framework to better use AI. What I found with some people is that they've either seen my free videos or they've maybe picked up one of our live trainings and they've watched it and then they've used AI, but they haven't understood that with AI, you can scrutinize AI and use AI to make your script so much better. Some people will need to not just prompt AI once, but prompt AI maybe 10 times to get them that perfect script. But if you're loosely using AI, if you're thinking that this is a quick fix where you just give AI your situation and ask it how to remove a default, that's not the best way to do it. Literally, it can actually work for you, but your chance of success, particularly if you have a difficult case or a stubborn negative marker, you need to work with AI heavily. So if you can have an expert like myself or IO verify what you've been given, confirm that it's actually correct, then you will be in a much better place rather than just, thinking that you've worked with AI once, it didn't work, and the negative markers there for 6 years. So what we've also showed and come out with is a new approach to using AI for your perfected script. And again, the script is where you have AI create something for you that you can then edit, review, perfect to then give to or send to a bank or lender if you've got a negative marker or an account blocked or any issue.